no longer distribute Tavis Smiley following what a spokeswoman called, quote, multiple credible, unquote, allegations of sexual misconduct uncovered by a recent investigation into the late night show host behavior. The investigation found credible allegations that Smiley had engaged in sexual relationships with multiple subordinates, some sources said. Some witnesses interviewed expressed concern that their employment status was linked to the status of a sexual relationship with Smiley. In general, witnesses described Smiley as creating a verbally abusive and threatening environment that went beyond what could be expected in a typical high-pressure work environment. Several expressed concerns about retaliation. What do you guys think about this?
All right. So this Me Too campaign, it's been great that it's, allowed women to come forward and expose creeps, right? And people who have actually committed sexual assault, or people who have, in the workplace, committed sexual harassment. But with Tavis Smiley, I just have to take a step back, right, and be an advocate for men. I mean, I know that's a surprising position for me to take.
Didn't see that coming.
So, from all of my understanding is there was a consensual.
Shout out Drink Champs.
I can't pronounce certain words today, right? So it's not like he assaulted the person, right? Everything was consensual, right? Mm-hmm. And that we have to be careful about, sentencing people before, even giving them due process, or believing women 100% and thinking the men are lying 100%, because that's not the truth. You're going to have women that are going to lie. Mm-hmm. You're going to have women that had relationships with men, whether they were on the same level or they were subordinates, and it didn't go right? Like, even they might have been with a married man and hoping that married man was going to leave his wife, or they're going to have a relationship and that man probably just wanted sex out of the thing, right? So you can't get mad about that because you got played and now try to become part of the Me Too movement. That's being disingenuous, right? And it's hurting the movement if women start doing that. Let's be honest, man. Every woman has a dick or two that they regret in their past. Just because you regret that one dick, does not mean that now you can ruin his career.
This feels like another Lucas Joyner video. Joyner Lucas.
So
last name first.
So yeah, I mean, with this one, I want to see Tavis Smiley fight back, right? I want to see those women, and I want to see what they're accusing him about, and I want it all being brought to light, and let let the public make their opinion about this whole thing, because I know that the PBS was going to try to step as far away as they could. Mm-hmm. From this situation, as every organization is going to do right now. Mm-hmm. But these men deserve to be heard, man. They deserve some semblance of due process before they're destroyed. Their lives are destroyed and their careers are destroyed.
So to your point, Rob, just relating this a little bit to the Russell Simmons situation, where he basically came at his accusers and put a hashtag not me, and it's almost like, hold up, as a man, you can't defend yourself in this. And that's what it's almost seeming like. If you are, again, if it was consensual, I don't understand what can you say about it as a female. And if any woman knows, please hit us up at Three Kings Podcast, on Instagram, Gmail.
Oh, we gonna hear.
Good. I hope so, because real talk, I'm getting so confused with this shit. I'm getting really confused. I don't understand this term, unwanted sexual encounter. I don't know what the fuck that means. So if you know, please help me understand that term. It's to the point where, you can't just keep on abusing the power of this movement just because you want to be down with something. Me Too is almost like you're following. So if you're just following, then of course there'll be some disingenuous people out there who are going to just do it to just be heard, to get attention, to just formulate some sort of regret and say, feel sorry for me. You choose to lay down with a man if they're an executive, or lay down with someone who you may see you can get something out of or capitalize upon the situation. And when it doesn't go your way, you're going to sit there and now talk about me too? Get the fuck out of here with that shit, man. Like, it's getting to the point where the cause is getting watered down. People, it's going to take one of y'all who's going to make a comment like this, and then it's going to blow up in your face, and the shit's going to lose all legs, and it's going to just die. And unfortunately, it's almost like, you're crying wolf. There's a lot of women crying wolf, and especially those who are talking about they didn't have a choice with consenting to having relations with these men. Get the fuck out of here with that, man. If it's rape, then it's rape. Then I'll call it what it is. If it's sexual assault, it's sexual assault. Totally wrong. Sexual harassment, totally wrong. But this fucking bullshit that we're going with the gray area, nah, I'm not fucking with it, man.
Okay, so, all right. So, I disagree. As far as Tavis Smiley, I've read articles about him, even a couple years ago, and they talked about the same kind of thing with him. Like, he's been known to do for this kind of thing, like having a sexual relationship with his subordinates, this kind of thing. So yeah, for me, there's really no difference between if what is being said about Tavis Smiley is right. There's no difference between what he did and what Harvey Weinstein did, because we're talking about somebody who's basically has his subordinates, and he's having sex with them, and essentially threatening them. Maybe not necessarily like overtly, but covertly saying, if you don't have sex with me, then that's your job, essentially. So I think the parallels are pretty striking between Tavis Smiley and Harvey Weinstein. Now, I think this could. So as far as I'm concerned, Tavis Smiley, he's kind of a dirtbag. Because if you're using your power in order to have some sort of leverage with a woman who's underneath you in order to gain sexual favors, then I think that's 100% wrong. Now, I think this could lead to an interesting discussion. Do you think it's possible to have a consensual relationship with someone who's your subordinate? Do you think that's appropriate?
I mean, there probably have been successful relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Where you have someone, a subordinate of another person, right? I know where I work, we have training every year for harassment, and they say, how many
of these skills classes have you missed?
I've taken every class.
Okay.
So every year we learn about this. Like at our company, they have a policy that says if you're on a project with someone, and let's say that woman gets promoted, and now you're working under her, right? They have to, if you guys are in a relationship, they have to move you to a different project, right? But that's the company policy, right? Some companies don't have rules that are policy that's that explicit, right? Or any at all, right? So I don't think it should preclude anyone from having a relationship with a subordinate, right? It could happen, right? You could fall for somebody who's working for you. So if it was my company, I probably would have a policy like what the company I work for right now has. But I'm not going to think that every relationship that has that dynamic is someone is being forced, right, to be in that relationship. I'm not going to assume that. So that's my position, and just because somebody's having relationship with subordinates does not mean they're a dirtbag. Or if it was consensual, if she's screaming that she felt like she was harassed, or she felt she was in a pro quid pro type of situation, then that's wrong. Just to respond to what you said, T, if you're using your power to say, be in a relationship with me or else, absolutely right. I think, my comments were, if it's not that kind of relationship where you, as Rob mentioned,
if you're both saying we agree to be in this together and it has nothing to do with your job. It's us wanting to be, to kick it. You know what time it is. Let's get it in, however you want to phrase it. Cool. That's my issue. Yeah. And, to your point, Robin, and any companies I've worked at, and you know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's my current employer, but if you're working in the same department, then you would have to move to another department. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want that kind of, it's a conflict of interest and they don't want those kind of problems. But if it's a consensual relationship, no, I don't have a problem with that. Why not? I don't see a problem at all. As long as you both are in an understanding of what you're doing. If you want to date your superior, your boss or what have you, you understand what comes with that dynamic. And as long as you both consent and you understand that and no one is threatening no one's job with that, then I don't have a problem with it.
But the thing about that is that you don't necessarily have to overtly threaten somebody's job. You know what I mean? It could just be something like where you're somebody's having a you might be criticizing somebody or whatever, and somebody's work performance, and you kind of use that in order to kind of maneuver your way into having some kind of relationship with somebody. It's understood. Things are understood. Things don't necessarily have to be spoken. You know what I mean? If somebody's not doing a good job or whatever, or you say for example the company that you're working for is having some tough times. They're doing having some layoffs or whatever, okay. And you have your subordinate. Yeah. They're feeling that pressure. Oh, maybe I might get laid off or whatever. Okay. And you have and you as the boss, yeah. You take that opportunity to, let's say, just make a pass. I don't think that's right in order to because you don't necessarily have to say everything. You know what I mean?
No, I get that, but I'm trying to understand the example. If you consent, and maybe this is me giving too much credence to the fact that they're both, consenting adults and understand the dynamic of their relationship. Mm-hmm. Because if that was the case, mm-hmm. and I'm in a position, let's say I'm dating my subordinate, mm-hmm. and let's say they're doing layoffs. Mm-hmm. If I'm dating you, and this is just me, if I'm dating you, we're going to have this discussion of, you understand what this means. There's situations that I can, discuss with you. There's things I can't discuss with you. Some things I may, we got to leave it at where it is. You know what I'm saying? If it did come to a point that there are layoffs, and I'm going to, I'll put you on. But I'm going to say, look, this is what's happening. It has nothing to do with me. I can't go in here. I can try my best to help you out and say, let's keep around. But your work performance has to be on point, because that's where it comes to the saying, business never personal. When we're at work, that's business. When we're outside of work or in our relationship, that's what we have. But we're not commingling that shit. And if you can't take that, you understand that dynamic, then I don't need to mess with you. Period. So I hear where you're coming from, bro. Trust me. But that's where you, as the person who is in the position of power, you need to break that shit down to who you're messing with.
Yeah, but I feel at the same time, when you have power over somebody, with power comes responsibility. So you have that responsibility to I don't think that it's impossible to have a consensual relationship with somebody who's subordinate. I mean, it happens all the time. But at the same time, I think, like you said, I think these things need to be absolutely 100% crystal clear if you choose to do something like that. And I think that so you have to have some level of protection for the subordinate. Mm-hmm. You have to have you would have to do something. I don't know. You go to HR or whatever. You disclose everything or whatever. Make sure that HR knows what's going on. That you're okay. So this is my snapshot in time. Whatever, my work performance is fine. It's fine. I'm doing well or whatever. This kind of thing. So if I'm entering this relationship with this person, and if we don't work out, then they choose to fire me or whatever. Then we're gonna know it's because this didn't work out.
Makes
that
sense.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think you have to do something if this kind of relationship happens. And honestly, if it was my company, I wouldn't want this kind of thing happening, because there's a lot of gray area, and it's very easy to get things misconstrued, and it's very easy for somebody to just abuse their power knowingly and also subconsciously. I think we talked about the example with layoffs or whatever. It'd be you could have a conversation with your subordinate, like, oh, this company, we're going through some tough times. You know what I mean? So how do you? So yeah, we're gonna be working extra hours or whatever. So yeah, how about we come over, we go to dinner or whatever, and we talk about this workload over a meal, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And how about we go do something like that? I mean, it's very easy to get in something like that.
Right.
So I think that, like I said before, I think you need to be incredibly careful with something like that. I don't think that's something like Tavis Smiley. He's known for like doing this kind of thing. I don't think it's not like he just like found somebody that he wanted to date. The fact that he's kind of like a serial dater of subordinates.
Yeah, that's an issue.
That lends to me that he's using his power in order to just have sex with people who are underneath him.
Matt Lauer shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it sounds like to me. If it happened like once, right, and you have those protections in place, then that's the one thing. But if you're serially like dating, quote unquote, your subordinates, that's a problem. Honestly, I think.
But I was still like, I still want to hear from these women, right? If it was consensual, right?
Yeah.
And like, to me personally, I wouldn't even date people that I work with. People that work, I don't shit where I don't shit where I eat, right? And I would not recommend anybody date their subordinate, right? But at the same time, there are a bit of women out there, and and they have an axe to grind, and they'll find a way to grind that axe, right? I mean,
yeah,
if they can destroy you, because they probably thought by dating you they'll get to a certain position, or if they date you, there's a long-term commitment there, and and the relationship fails, then we shouldn't just automatically believe them. We should give the man a chance to explain himself as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, definitely they can be victims on both sides, and that's what we have to be careful of. We don't want to create a victim just because they're the subordinate and just go on their side because the person in the position, they should know better. That's it. It's like sometimes, they both should know better. The subordinate should know, you know what? It's probably not a good idea to date my boss, or, to even entertain that thought. And vice versa. The boss shouldn't be trying to prey upon subordinates for whatever reason, because they, if it is a situation where it could be an insecurity, where they don't want to go after someone who's at their level, or it could be a situation where, they're taking advantage of people. You know what I mean? But, I'm just not quick to rush to judgment until I know both sides of the story.
Yeah, for me, it's with the Tavis Smiley thing. It's easy because this isn't a one-off situation. It's happened multiple times, and I've seen articles even before this. Like a couple years ago, I saw articles about him, like in his quote-unquote reputation, and do this kind of thing. So it's really easy. But I do think that it's a very tough issue. There's a lot of gray in it, and if you have somebody who's done it once, then I think that's kind of a tough thing to assess. But if you have someone who's like known to be like preying on people who are their subordinates, then I think it's an issue. I think it's a big issue. So let's move on. Moving on. So